No. See that? That's fine. I don't even know what
Everybody got problems. Yeah, I like it. Oh, you were. Everyone has problems. You gotta get used to it. No, your delivery is very. What's that? You have different. Oh, it's November. About like swear words, content. They don't care about those. I want to know how everybody goes to this contract.
It's different.
You always are about to go to jail. Dang, that's right. Wait, who was the other defendant in our first mock trial?
in our first one, Malcolm left.
There were just some trials going on? You were the defendant in mine.
No, it was also
That's like her dumb long clothes that has so many clauses in it. So all you heard was walking around.
And you hear me from here?
You would wait. You would not talk, walk up, and walk back, and say something else, and walk up, and you walk back.
Shut up, okay? Hope Trent's here.
The storyline? I didn't even have to tell you.
Miss Cook's in this night. I'll go like this right now when I can. This makes me more nervous.
Speak up loud.
Can y'all hear me?
I haven't even spoken yet.
Sound check. Sound check. Everybody hear me? Everybody hear me? Already there.
No. You gotta be loud. Louder.
Get me started. Making it funny. I'm making it funny. Alright, take it to serious. So I guess that means how you got left or how much time you got left. And you more direct. Okay. Check, baby. Well. I gotta ask her. This is my way of getting my nerves out. Okay. This is my way of getting my nerves out.
It says I killed people.
Listen to it in some headphones. You can, I mean, pay attention to her instead of this video talk. I'll show you when we go back to class. I'll show you.
You know what? I don't know. I don't think I'm not going to I'm not sure we get you
I hope not.
Do you want to go around like yes?
I know you want to get through. I'm not knowing anything. Not knowing anything. So you don't want to use the word like hearing.
Is it okay if I call my mom? That's enough.
Ooh, donuts from who?
Yeah, I have my license test.
Yeah, they used to like, if you passed one, you failed the other, you would just go and change one or half the time.
Yeah, so I don't think for half a day.
It's the same thing.
Maneuverability, I don't know if they still do this, but like they teach you all like the cheat things,
It's a half
turn, like quarter turn, and like, I didn't even know, I just was like going by what they told me and things.
Or
Like,
you pull forward when you get to the thing in the middle, you just go around it. Make sure your driver is you're steering straight, and when you go to go back, parallel park. When you're the first cone is your shoulder.
Yeah. It's like half the day.
And then when you see three cones
half
here,
a day for me.
flash, and then you just turn it up for 2
It's not half a day.
yeah, that part wasn't bad.
That
part was not bad.
So, okay.
Nothing I've worried about is school zone and the 10 miles per hour parking lot.
Yep. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon.
Are we starting?
Say good afternoon.
Oh.
Y'all got serious. I was just saying good afternoon.
Like a teacher, yeah, what?
I just gotta make sure y'all can hear me.
No one's
Good
listening.
afternoon, Miss. Thank you.
Good afternoon.
What?
Y'all both turn your legs.
Bingo.
No, I'm not taking You're fine, Miss Mary.
You go the other way. Why are you
I'm not gonna say that much, but it's
No, I'm excused this year. Nope, I'm excused. All I have to do is write essays.
It's on the random me, Kyrie, and whoever else at Melvin. Oh my God, those conversations. it's not the same type of intricacies. Shimmy. It's gonna be 20 minutes. I was like, it was interesting, but I was like, I mean, it was fine. We got to eat lunch early. Because I was like, it's coming into your home the next time. No, we're not going to so we've got a room decorated. We've done a lot of different church stuff this year. Like, they've created so many things. You gonna keep this off and feel more comfortable? Okay. As long as you feel comfortable. Nope. You don't have to. I want to make sure you okay.
Hopefully show me that during the school year last time. Hopefully show me during the school year. Are you gonna show the whole time?
I'm showing
the third and fourth of the time.
I show up any other time.
Every day? You have to show up every day. You won't? Don't throw it.
Can we start on?
Hello.
Good afternoon. We had a fun morning, so now we're ready to do our afternoon of mediation. The person who's going to be judging your mediation and giving you a few critiques is Professor Gary Spring. Professor Spring is going to tell you after mediation is over. He is quite the expert in this area, so we're lucky to have him. And however you want to get started.
Okay, ladies, if I could just have you introduce yourselves to Professor Spring and the group and say which role you'll be playing, but not reveal any other information, and then you can go ahead and get started. Go ahead, Ms. Lewis.
I'm Aria, and I'm playing Terry.
I'm Kayvon Wood, and I'm playing the mediator.
I'm Ravina Knight, and I'm playing the role of Alex.
And I'll just remind you, ladies, that we're videotaping, so please be sure to keep your voices up, okay?
Hello, good afternoon. I want to first start out by saying thank you both for agreeing to come to this mediation today. My name is Kayvon Wood, and I will be your mediator. Before we jump into anything today, I'd like to get both of your names and what you prefer to be called. We'll start with you.
I'm Terry. I prefer to call Ms. Hooks.
Ms. Hooks. And since she's being called Ms. Hooks, what would you prefer to be called?
I'm Alexandria Thompson. I have to be called Alex.
Since we're being very official, I'll call you Ms. Hooks, Ms. Wood, and Ms. Thompson. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Now that I have both of your names, I would like to explain to the both of you what mediation is and what my job as a mediator is to do. First off, mediation is the process in which adds a neutral third party, the mediator, which is me, to the negotiation of you two. So as your mediator today, my job is to provide a neutral third party or viewpoint to make sure that things go smoothly and orderly. As we go through the mediation process today, I'd like to establish ground rules. The first one will be when either of you are speaking, I want you to speak directly to me and not to each other. Is that understood? The other one would be that each person will speak on their own turn and respect when the other one is speaking. Meaning, if you're speaking to me, she's silent. When I'm speaking to her, you're silent. Understood? All right. Now on to the conflict that has brought you both here to me today. First, I'd like to state that I understand that both of you are enrolled in an advanced placement class, correct? Correct. I also see that the conflict has arisen regarding to the completion of a class project in this AP class, correct? All right, since Terry, you have called for this mediation, I'm going to start with you, but please understand, Ms. Thompson, that I will get to you and you will be able to voice your turn. And I will also, but before we begin and go straight into it, I want you both to understand that this mediation is confidential. Your opinions, your statements, and anything regarding what goes on in this room will be held between us. Okay? All right. Now that we've gone through the introduction stage of mediation, we will head on to the problem determination stage. So as I previously stated, Terry, we will start with you.
Okay, my problem is that Ms. Thompson's lack of participation in our group project is causing everyone else to have a failing grade.
Is that it?
For now.
So it's understood from both of you that Ms. Hooks, your problem is that the lack of participation, correct?
Yeah.
All right. Ms. Thompson?
My side of the story, I have a lot of things I would say. So the first thing is, so we have this project we have to do, as she already said, and each of us, there's 7 of us in this group, and each of us was given a part of the designated part of this project that we're supposed to follow through with. Now, I have a lot of things going on, and I do my best to try and get whatever I can done. And I also have another class that has a similar project to this. So I'm working on that as well. And the other week, I was ill with the chicken pox, so I wasn't able to communicate with anybody about my whereabouts because I was sick. And I was designated a part of the research paper. And so I did my research paper, and then I turned it into the group meeting. And then the next group meeting, I found out that Ms. Hooks made unnecessary change to my research paper without even my permission. And now she wants to blame me for doing stuff that I don't even know.
So it's understood from your side that everyone had a designated part. There were 7 different people in this project, and that a lot of things are going on in your life, and you were ill. You're not able to contact anyone. Regardless, you completed your
Well, I'm sorry, I did contact people.
Okay, who did you? How was that?
Through email, I contacted my teammates.
Okay. So you contacted your teammates through email. Even though you were ill, you still managed to complete your research paper, correct? So the problem you have today is that Ms. Hooks made unnecessary changes to your paper.
Yes, and also, and the fact that she's blaming me for them not doing well. It's 7 people in the group, it's not all on me.
So your problem is that she made unnecessary changes and that you're getting the blame for the group's completion of the project. All right. Now that we've heard what Ms. Thompson has stated, Ms. Hooks?
I feel like she can't get her story straight because first she said she couldn't contact anybody because she had the chicken pox. When that's physical contact, not verbal, she could use the phone. But then now she said she'd email people, but I didn't email. I'm the leader, so along with the teacher, I should have got the email. And it's not my fault that I had to make changes to her research paper. She's just illiterate, and I just feel
She could at least,
Hold on. Ms. Thompson, we already established this ground rule that when either one of you is speaking, the other will be silent and respect the other's opinion. Ms. Hooks, are you finished?
well, no, I'm not. I feel like her illiteracy would have caused
Directly at me.
her illiteracy would have caused us all to have a failing grade, as we already have, because she decided not to turn it to her part of her
Look at
bibliography.
me. Look at me.
We did a bibliography. All of us did our parts, and she didn't do hers. And she's been missing the past 3 meetings in the past 3 weeks. And I don't think chicken pox lasts that long.
All right, so it's understood to me that your other issue with Ms. Thompson is that she hasn't contacted you, you're the leader,
Yes.
and that you feel she hasn't performed to all of your standards of this project, correct? And that she's missed the meetings that were necessary, correct? Is that it?
Yeah.
All right, Ms. Thompson, now that we've heard Ms. Hooks and her side, I will let you
I
go.
just want to address the illiteracy thing. I'm not illiterate. If I was illiterate, I would be in an AP
Look at
class.
me, look at me.
So I just think that was really out of line because I'm in an AP class. Apparently I'm not illiterate. And it's like, I have the chicken pox. Okay? It's hard.
I understand that when you're sick.
Yes, but I did my part. I turned in my essay. And then the thing I had with my literacy, she had at least came to me in a civil, nice manner and say, okay, well, I had to make some revisions. She didn't have to be all mean about it, and she could ask for my permission.
Okay. So your issue now is that she could have asked your permission, she could have spoke to you directly in a civil manner, no insulting.
And she can ask anybody in the team. I did email everybody. I may have forgotten to email her, but no, if she's been having unscheduled meetings with everybody except for me. And so maybe they could have told her, or maybe apparently she might have forgotten, but I have contacted everybody and I may have forgotten to contact her.
All right,
so I'm sorry about that.
It's understood that you're apologetic about this, but you feel as if she could have came to you for the problems with your research paper, and that you emailed everyone on the team, may have missed out on the leader, but you still emailed everyone else, and that she's scheduling unscheduled meetings that you didn't know about, correct? Correct. Understood? So now on to you, Ms. Hooks.
Okay, so first she said she had the chicken pox and didn't contact everybody. Then we asked her a second time, she said she did. Then first she said she emailed everybody, and now we asked her when she emailed me, I told you that I did not receive the email. She says that she may have forgot. And I think that's just documenting her irresponsibility in this situation. Okay. And yes, she is in an AP class, but you're not turning in your work. You turned in one project from the past month, and it's AP and it affects college. And I just feel like you don't care about your future, and you're bringing out everyone else's too.
Okay. So your problem now is mainly with responsibility, correct? You understood?
I understand.
So now, since we've determined that the problems are irresponsibility, unscheduled meetings from your point of view, and the lack of participation,
And lack of communication on her part.
Okay, let me speak.
Okay.
The lack of communication, the lack of participation, the unscheduled meetings, the irresponsible acts, and then the group work. Understood? So now that we've gone through problem determination and I've summarized what your problems are, we're going to determine what the main issues of this problem is. And since I already started with you, Terry, in the beginning, I'm going to start with Alex or Ms. Thompson. My apologies. Now, what are the main issues of this problem that you want to resolve, that need to be resolved?
The main issue is that she made unnecessary changes to my paper without my permission. She's scheduling meetings with everybody else besides me. She won't let me, take in part because she thinks I'm illiterate. And fourthly, she's telling people in the group and the teacher that that I'm responsible for them for the completion of their project. So she's blaming me for not being complete.
Okay. So your main issues are the fact that it was unnecessary, the commentary, and that ridicule and blame, the unscheduled meetings, and the fact that she and along with some group of members possibly hold you responsible for the fact.
And
correct?
one more thing, and lack of communication on her part.
Okay. All right, Ms. Hooks. Now, Ms. Thompson, as you heard, has discussed that her main issues is it was unnecessary on both of your behalf to insult each other on that manner. Y'all could have handled it a better way. Also, that the meetings look towards me. Unscheduled meetings she didn't know about. And also that you hold her, and along with the group, hold her responsible for the failure when it was actually a group activity, not an individual activity, even though you all had separate parts. And then the last one would be lack of communication due to her being ill, and then the butting of heads between you and the group members. Okay. What are your main issues?
The lack of communication, irresponsibility, and the hypocritical lying. Because she accuses me of lying. But it's not my opinion only. I'm speaking on behalf of everyone else. As you see, everybody can't be in this mediation. And then she would just think that we're teaming up against her. She knows that she's the reason why the paper didn't get turned in on her. So I feel like it's just lying. It's just repetitive, and it's just unnecessary. So communication, irresponsibility, and hypocritical lying.
All right, we're going to step aside from the mutual insulting and Yes. So the main issues I found that both of you agree upon is that there was a who's held responsible for the incompletion of the project on time, and then the lack of communication. Can we both agree?
Yes.
All right, now that we have determined the issues in this mediation, we're going to go on to the generation and evaluation of alternatives. What can we do here to resolve this? And since I started with you, Ms. Thompson, I'm going to start with Ms. Hooks once again. So what do you think we can do that's reasonable to resolve this issue?
I think that she could just quit and kick herself out and take her F instead of getting everybody else an F. And Mr. Green said that he would interfere and discipline her himself, but I'm here trying to make an effort, so I think that if she doesn't want to quit, then maybe she could ask to make up the work that she missed and redo the whole bibliography by herself so that we can all get our grade.
So your alternative to fix this is either she quits completely and receives the grade she does,
Yes.
or she makes up the work that she is accountable for and the bibliography, correct?
Yes.
All right. Ms. Thompson, you've heard Ms. Hooks. You've heard her say. Okay. So now that we have that on the table, she wants to know whether you quit or make up the work, including the bibliography, or do you have another alternative?
I will not quit.
So that's out of the question.
Out of the question, I'm not quitting. And maybe we can talk to Mr. Green about compromising on a due date, because I was talking with the students and they said that no matter what time you turn in your project, you'll always get a good grade. So I don't see why it's such a big deal. And another alternative is, since we have more school left and we still have to complete this project, I think that she should improve on her communication skills towards me. And try and let me do my own work and let me turn it in instead of her worrying about my work.
All right, so you can agree that you want to speak on the due date completion with the teacher along with the group. And you're not arguing against the makeup work. You just want to settle agreement towards that, correct? And that you also want to discuss her lack of communication skills and want to improve it, correct? Now, Ms. Hooks, you've heard Ms. Thompson and what she's requiring and asking of. Now, she's not quitting. That's out of the question. So she's willing to talk about the makeup work with the bibliography, so we're going to set that aside for this moment. But according to Ms. Thompson, she wants to speak with the teacher that you have on this project for the due date, and when will it be able to be turned in, and also if you two can work on your communication skills. Is that possible?
No.
What isn't possible out of that?
The due date, because not only is she illiterate, but she must be remedial.
We're gonna hold on. Look at me, ground rule. When we're both speaking, when you both are speaking, you speak directly to me, and I repeat the process towards the opposite party. And also, we're gonna keep the insults out of the question right now.
Okay, it's called a due date for a reason. It's not called a turn it in when you want to date, or maybe later date. It's a due date. That's when they chose it, and he put it there for a reason. So I don't know what's in her head.
So due date out of the question.
Yeah, it's out of the question.
So due date's remaining the same.
Yeah.
And you're willing to work on your communication skills with the whole group, not just her, not just anyone else, everyone.
According to my communication is fine.
Well,
so she needs to work out hers.
Hold on. With her, Ms. Thompson, the communication skills, which we can see, they're a little vague, so we're gonna work on that. Okay? Are you willing to work on that? This is what Ms. Thompson is requesting, and I want to know what your take is on it.
Do I have to talk to her myself, or can it be like a counselor? I can speak to her. I really don't want to talk to her.
It's always an alternative. It's up to you. What do you want to do?
No, I have to talk to her.
Don't talk directly to each other.
Okay.
Once again.
I'll work on the communication.
Okay. So, the due date is going to remain the same. You're not quitting. You both agree on the makeup work, including the bibliography. Okay. But it's just your, okay. Hold on. And Ms. Hooks is willing to work on her communication skills with the group. Okay?
Emphasizing me?
Yes.
Especially?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
So, you both agree on those?
Yes.
The makeup work, including the bibliography, and the lack of communication skills, correct?
Yes.
And also have one more solution.
All right,
well, it's not really a solution, it's more of a thing I want Terry to do, Ms. Hooks. I would like her to apologize.
Hold on. Refrain.
Referring her, blaming me for all this work. I have the chicken's pox, okay? I have a lot of things going on in my life. I want her to apologize for making me feel bad about myself and talking about me. So I want an apology.
Okay. So understood you want an apology.
Yes,
but you agree to everything else in the
I
terms.
did everything else.
All right. We're in the process of selecting an appropriate alternative. So we've already come down to two, which is the makeup work, including the bibliography and the communication, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So now the last thing on the table will be the apology. Now, what's your take on that?
I feel like it's life, so just have to strong suck it up because I really don't care about your chicken pot.
Look towards me, talk to me,
The
not
chicken
directly
pot,
to each other.
this is not, we're not here for no little apology. She can go and cry to her mom on that, and she keep her apology going to herself, and we'll just do her little makeup work, and then she can just go on with her life.
So no apology.
It's never gonna happen.
I never said she has to do a verbal apology. When she likes to correct my work, she can write it out.
Do you not understand?
Stop talking to each other. Pause. Both of you. When you're talking, you speak directly to me. One speaks at a time so I can understand the both of you. When I'm speaking to one, the other refrains from speaking. Is that understood? Once again. All right. Now, I understand that you still want an apology and you don't want to apologize.
Yeah.
Would it be fair to say that both of you want an apology from each other?
No, I don't.
You don't want an apology and you want an apology.
Or
So,
she can just admit she was wrong about me.
That's an apology.
Same thing.
refrain from speaking directly to each other. She said, Miss Hooks, you were the...
This is not the topic right now. The apology that's emotional. That has nothing to do with the project.
You're part of the parties. I'm the mediator. I'm going to repeat what each party is going to ask. If you say no, I will repeat it back to the other one. Let the process continue. Refrain from speaking when I'm speaking to Miss Thompson. Miss Thompson, she says no apology. So since no apology, are you willing to leave it alone and just continue on what you both have already agreed on? Let bygones be bygones and agree on what you just agreed on.
I'll agree on what I agreed on, but when I see her at school, I'll talk to my counselor, and I'll have my counselor ask your written apology.
So is it fair to say that you want to discuss this apology problem with a counselor instead when school resumes? Okay. Ms. Hooks, now the issue on the table is that once you both resume school, that the problem of an apology or anything else between the both of you will be taken up to your school counselor. Is that understood, and that can that be agreed upon, and let the counselor handle it from that point?
No.
Why not?
Are you getting frustrated?
No.
Okay, fine. I just feel like, why do you care if I do an apology? Why do you care what other people think in your life? You just need to get your little insecure. Well, she needs to get her insecurities together about how other people feel about her, and then all will be fine. It's not. Just keep. I'm never going to give an apology because I don't feel like I'm wrong. I apologize if I offended you in a way. I said my things, but I do not apologize for the way that I felt. Okay.
So it's agreed that you apologize for the way things were given to her in that way, but you're not apologizing for how you feel about it.
Yes.
Okay. So Ms. Thompson, she's apologizing for what she did to you, but she's not apologizing for how she feels. Is that acceptable?
Yes, an apology, accept
So
it.
you accept it. So the apology is now on the table and it's agreed upon, correct? All right. So now that we have finished with our selection of an appropriate alternatives, we have finished with the makeup work, including the bibliography, correct? The communication skills being worked upon, correct?
Yeah.
And then the apology has already been discussed and handled, correct? So now we're going to move to the closure and conclusion. I want to thank both of you for coming to mediation today, and I'm glad that we were able to solve your issues.
Thank you. Thank you.
job with this. It was an interesting mediation, particularly the mediator. I thought was good in taking control and keeping the parties on track. So there wasn't too much disruption. We had some tough parties here. That weren't, I'm not sure they had the best mindset for but you were able to get mediation accomplished, so that's very good. And you did keep them apart, and you kept control. One critique I thought was interesting, you talked to them about what they wanted to be called in the beginning, and then right away you didn't do it. You called her by her first name, and she has to be Ms. So Ms. Hooks. So I'm not sure you need all that. The other thing is, I've done a lot of mediations and arbitrations and things. A lot of times the parties can't agree as to the issues. You ask them to state the issues, and that's okay. And then you sort of rephrase them or try to mold them. I think a good technique may have been for you to initially state the issues. And maybe you take some of the emotion out of it and you take some of the combativeness out of it. Say, look, here's the issues we're trying to resolve today. There's a book, Getting to Yes. I don't know if you guys have talked about that. I mean, that's sort of the idea. You agree to the issues and somebody tries to state them as neutrally as possible. When you ask them to set the issues, they're going to slam them their way. And they did. And that's the way that's going to work. But again, I thought once you restated them, kind of remolded them and moved them around a little bit, that helped you get to your end result. Now the parties. Ms. Hooks, I really like, I tell students to be concise. I used to work for a judge who told me if I wrote something too long, I see you didn't have time to be concise. But your opening was really concise. I mean, I think you had a sentence. That was about it. And maybe you wanted her to start so you could respond. And that maybe that's it. If I was the mediator, though, I probably would have said, oh, you got to tell us a little bit more about your position than that. You need to flesh out what you're talking about. Maybe we get some of the issues out there. So I thought you were very brief. I thought the response from Ms. Knight was good. She put some details to it. She explained about her illness. She said we have to put all these things in context. And there's issues on her side as well. So she laid all that out. And I thought she did that well. And then you came back, the illiterate thing didn't help the process.
How to keep phrasing it.
Yeah. You were combative. You didn't seem in the mood or in the mindset to mediate this dispute. And if I was a mediator in real life, I might have said, hey, let's take a break from this. I want to talk to you out in the hallway, or in a separate room or something. We'll talk about it separately, and tell you really got to tone it down. And if you want to unload on her, unload to me now. Tell me now. But when we get back in there, you've got to be more diplomatic, more restrained in what you say. So that'd probably be the way I would try to handle that. I mean, I've been in mediations. I've been on one of the sides of mediation, and somebody's throwing around all kinds of derogatory things, and that just doesn't help the process. I mean, you've got to go into it with a mindset that it's a problem-solving session. And you were sort of combative from the start, but you came around, and that was a good thing. You were looking, eventually it became apparent you were looking to resolve it. I thought, Ms. Knight, you did a good job presenting your position. You tried to interrupt her, though. You tried to interrupt the mediator. You needed to hold back a little bit. But I thought the mediator did a good job in keeping everything under control. And I thought it was, you were reasonable throughout. The apology thing. I got to tell you, if somebody would have asked for an apology in mediation, I'd say, that's not what we're here for. We're not here for apologies or for one side to make an admission that they were wrong. Both sides think that they're in the right. we're not going to get there. One of the things you got to know from mediation is if you think you're going to teach the other side a lesson or you're going to get an apology, you're not going to get it. Instead, you're trying to show that it's beneficial for both of you to come to a resolution. Can't we resolve this, get this behind us, resolve our differences? You know, how can we do that? And apologies aren't part of that normally. I would have just said, oh, wait, you're out of order when you're asking for an apology. You didn't have all that experience. And I thought it was good how you kept it moving, kept working towards a solution. So I would just commend everybody. I thought everybody did a very nice job.
Professor Spree, before you sit down, why don't you give a little bit of background about how you came to the university, like what you did before you came to law school and had the office next to mine?
I went to Ohio State Law School, and then I worked for a judge on the Ohio Supreme Court for like a year and a half. And then I went and worked for the law firm of Retzel and Andrus for 25 plus years. Decided I wanted to do something different. And I had been teaching part-time here at the law school for a number of years. And decided I liked teaching better than I really liked practicing law. So I decided I wanted to do that full-time. So I went and visited for a year at Rutgers Law School, and then 2 years at the University of Cincinnati Law School full-time, and then eventually I ended up back here. And just to give you a little background, my primary area of practice was employment and labor law, and I did a lot of mediation with collective bargaining, where I would represent one side or the other in collective bargaining. Also in employment disputes, trying to resolve those kinds of things. There's a lot of mediation in that context. And then since I've left the active practice, I've been appointed the mediator sometimes, and I've been appointed the arbitrator to decide disputes. I'm a member of the American Arbitration Association, and I arbitrate disputes.
So all of you have any questions? Professor Spring again has the office right next to mine. They're all good. Thank you, Professor Spring, for stepping in at the last minute. That was very nice. And we also have, we're very fortunate to have Attorney Likens here with us today. For those of you who were at the Fellows Lunch, were you at the Fellows Lunch at the Akron Bar Association last year?
No, I just joined the bars.
This year? Remember last year we had lunch, 11th graders, I think it was the 10th graders had lunch, maybe it was the 9th graders, I can't remember who, boy, time has flown. But anyway, we had lunch with the Ohio State Bar Association Fellows. If you remember, the Ohio State Bar Foundation is a big supporter of this program financially. Mr. Likens also agreed to come today so he could be one of our mediation judges. So if you want to do your critique and then maybe tell you a little bit about yourself, that'd be great.
Sure. First of all, while some of the comments about what's ideal for the parties to be saying or whether they came with the right mindset to mediation, while that may be true, it's also not unusual for people to come with the mindset of, I want an apology, for instance. And I have been in mediations where one side or the other says, I'm not leaving and I'm not settling this case unless I get an apology from the other side. And you will sometimes end up with that, where the issue is, I told them, I just apologize to them. What does it matter? You don't want the case to continue. You don't want this settlement not to happen because you won't give an apology. And I've also been in the position of telling my client, does it really matter if you get an apology from the other side? If you force it out of them to settle the case, they probably don't really mean it. So do you really want the apology? But regardless of that, I thought you did a very good job of getting them to agree on the issue of the apology and whether or not they could at least give some sort of apology and whether that was acceptable to the other side. The other thing I did want to emphasize was when the professor says, when the parties give their summary of the issues, the other side often sees that as an attack. And in this format, you have to do it that way. In real life, when you do a mediation, sometimes the mediator won't even have the parties give their summary in front of the other side because they realize that if you vent your feelings, she's going to see that as an attack, and it's not going to be productive and to get towards a mediated resolution. So sometimes the mediator will either present their view of what the party's dispute is or have the parties present them to the mediator in separate rooms to begin with. And often in mediations, you do end up with the mediator in different rooms. getting the one side to tell their side of the story without the other side having to hear that. So the way you did it in this context was fine because they're going to hear it one way or the other, but the parties summarizing their positions too often leads to the other side not appreciating it too much. But overall, I think you did an excellent job. And as far as background goes, I graduated from the University of Akron with my undergraduate degree in 1998. I then went to the University of Michigan. Yeah, the professor
Did I say
left.
that out loud? Sorry.
The professor left, so. And then I clerked for a federal judge in Memphis, Tennessee for a year. Then I came back to Worcester, Ohio, and worked at Critchfield, and Johnston.
And what type of law do you practice there?
Primarily, I do litigation. I also do trademark and copyright registration, but about 75% of what I do is litigation. Right now, a lot of oil and gas litigation.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Mm-hmm. And students, do you have some questions of Mr. Likens while he's here, Attorney Likens? Because we'd like to, if you have a few minutes to stay, the 11th graders have some projects they'd like to present to you upstairs. If you'd like to see them, they have that. That would be great. And 12th graders, you're free to go. 11th graders, maybe we could take a picture with. Oh, I'm so sorry. Hope, did you have anything you wanted to say?
No, I'll be brief. I'll talk to them later.
Okay.
But you all did a wonderful job. I know this was a new component of our curriculum, and you really just, caught onto it and ran. So I'm glad I was here to see it, and I look forward to talking with you all as we head upstairs. So.
And also, yeah, I'm so sorry. Thank you. Hope that only Mr. Lee's clapping for you, Hope. I also want to say for the teachers, so because your teachers deserve a round of applause, Miss Novelli, Miss Bree, that would be great.
You want us?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Ladies, push in your chairs, okay? I think we're going to go up and sit down.
Thank you for watching.
You don't know how bad I just wanted to pick up the tape. All right, ladies, come on up. Come on up, ladies. You know how bad I wanted to jump over the table and get her.
Stand up and go over by the bench.